When I first got the report,
Yeah.
I was the one that took the first initial report. And I says, I've never heard this in my life. And so then I had a meeting with my chief deputy. So then we started doing an investigation. He made some phone calls, and then I believe he made a text to somebody.
He sent me a message on eBay.
Okay, that's what it was. And I don't recall what it said, but he did tell me that he sent a message or something, and he told him to call him back.
Yeah.
And you called him back.
And me almost immediately. Do you know what his nickname was on eBay?
No.
Duck Goose 21.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
How did he come up with that name? Did you ask him?
No, we're gonna have to ask him next.
No, I don't recall him ever telling me what his nickname was.
It was so sneaky. Can you please give me a call about your listing, Bob, and then you put the number down.
And what did you think?
I had no idea. I had no idea. So when I called, I said, hi, can I speak to, or no, I called and he answered the phone, Sheriff Bob Carey speaking. And I just started laughing. I mean, I almost just started laughing at that point.
What was your expression, I wonder?
Oh, you can pretty much guess. I was like, oh my God.
So what did he say? What was his first words out of his mouth?
He told me the story of the tombstone. You know, immediately said, you know, this is the oldest unsolved crime in the county. Is that true?
That is definitely true.
Yeah.
We may never know how it was stolen, why it was stolen.
A gravestone stolen more than 60 years ago finally returns home after traveling across the country. Our top story tonight, a cold case in Polk County is cracked. Good evening, I'm John Boardman.
And I'm Vanessa Flowers. A woman bought a gravestone more than a decade ago, never knowing it was stolen property. Now that woman has traveled halfway across the country to return that gravestone to its rightful place. 1011's Catherine Crane takes us on the journey.
For more than 60 years, this quiet cemetery in Polk was missing a gravestone. For the past decade, that gravestone, called Alexandra Grant's studio in Los Angeles, California, home.
I've always felt that I was sort of the caretaker of the stone.
Grant bought the stone in Wyoming back in 2000. She was told it was rescued from a ranch that was undergoing development.
But that story is, you know, as we know now, totally false.
The puzzle was solved when Grant placed the gravestone up for auction on the internet. That's when a curious stranger discovered the gravestone's origin.
She'd been putting off getting it on eBay for months, and that was the one time I've ever checked, and it was there. I found it within about 5 minutes.
So Grant drove more than 1,500 miles to return the stone to its rightful place.
Once I learned that it was an actual marker, that there was an actual home for it, it changed the meaning of the object from being, you know, something very special for me and, you know, a work of art to being something very personal for a whole group of people.
The tombstone reads the name Lena Davis, a little girl who died when she was only 8 months old back in 1880. But tagging along with Grant on her adventures has given life to this gravestone.
You know, it's been everywhere from California to New York City and back to Polk County, Nebraska.
Grant stopped in Colorado Springs so Lena's first cousin, Chuck, could see the stone. He was 10 years old in 1945 when the stone was stolen. He says that cemetery in Polk, where he plans on being buried, is like a museum.
Returning a stolen artifact to a museum of history of this region is really remarkable.
When the stone is missing, the story is quiet. And that story will be able to be told again once that stone is back in place.
When the ground is soft and we can set the stone back in the cemetery, hopefully with about 6 feet of cement so no one will try to steal it again.
In Polk County, Catherine Crane, 1011 News.
Should I go inside here?
Well, here, just wait. I'm gonna get this.
Wow. I've never been handcuffed in my life.
What?
Said I've never been handcuffed in my life.
First time for everything.
This is my outfit.
Put that on, then I'll cuff you, and then they can get
good.
you.
This is part of this is what did not happen. This is an inaccurate historical record. All for a stolen tombstone, Sheriff?
Yes, ma'am. You may be charged with a felony.
Is that... I didn't do it.
Well, that's what they all say.
This is really scary. What do you guys think? This is
See, we
serious
even
stuff.
put leg irons on them too, but I'm not putting leg irons.
No leg irons. Okay, so if I hadn't cooperated with the law, this is what would have happened.
If you hadn't cooperated with us, then I'd have put them behind your back, and that's a lot worse. So, were you going to cooperate?
I will cooperate.
Okay, we'll take them off then.
That is a first. There's always a first, ladies and gentlemen. This is kind of awesome. It's top.
If I had extra one,
I know, I was about to say, fashion. Prison
you can wear it around the
fashion.
house.
I'd wear it around the hay to see what would happen. All right, here we go. Your number one prisoner. Thank you, Pat, and thank you. I might just start crying after that.
We have shed a few tears over this.
I can't, can I go after? Can I go later?
Okay.
But it's so emotional for you all to
Julie,
be
would
here.
you be able to share now? Why don't you come up here? And Bob, why don't you come up here too? And maybe all three of
We're
you.
gonna start weeping.
Yeah. This is Julie Middleton from Scotia. She was an amateur historian. And Bob Carrot.
This is what I have to do to go after Bob, actually.
She was really nervous about going after me. I'm going to tell you the truth what really happened. November 2nd of last year, the sheriff came into my office and said, I got an assignment for you. We have a gravestone that's been recovered in California. Okay, I'm not too sure I follow this. When was it stolen? He said about 70 years ago. I said, where's the file for that at? He said, I don't think there is a file for that. So through the Dreamuses and Julie doing a lot of my work for me, I came up with a plan with the sheriff that I was going to get on the internet and talk to the person who was selling the tombstone, and I was going to trick them. I was going to tell them that I was a hillbilly from Nebraska and I was interested in this gravestone, and I had a brother that lived in LA that was going to come out and look at it. I was going to ask where she lived, was it easy to get to, who was all at the house, and my brother was going to be the LA County Sheriff's Office. So I had emailed the person who had this headstone. They were believing it'd be somebody like Miss Grant. And y'all know how the internet goes. Nothing ever goes like it's planned to. So I told the sheriff this is probably never going to go anywhere. This lady or whoever has this stone is never going to call me back. I even left my cell phone number, which I rarely do, hoping this person was going to call me. Well, about 45 minutes later, I had a call. I didn't recognize the number, and I'm thinking, who could this be? It was Miss Grant. She said, you emailed me about the headstone. I said, yeah, well, my story was going out the window because I said, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm the police, and you have stolen property. Thinking I would probably get a hang up on this, Miss Grant and I believe talked for 45 minutes to an hour after that about where the stone had came from and all the work that these other fine folks had did. So, as you know, we have to do extradition in the state of Nebraska. If somebody has stolen property in another state, our governors have to get together and sign papers so we can extradite her back here with the stolen property. Well, we tricked her. Obviously, because she's here as well as the stone. When Alexandra and I had spent several hours talking back and forth on the phone about how we were going to do this, what the culmination was going to be to lead us here today, I'm glad of all people in the world that had that stone that Miss Grant had it, because I think if it had not been for the kind of person that Miss Grant is, we would never be here today. Very easily, she could have told me to go jump into a lake. She wanted nothing to do with coming back to Nebraska, which she had never been to before. Well, Miss Grant did arrive at the sheriff's office with the stone, and we were overwhelmed. We couldn't believe that this was actually happening, and I can honestly tell you, I never thought we'd be here today. Julie gets all the credit because I think Julie did 99% of the work, and all I did was made a little correspondence on eBay saying, please call me, I want to talk to you. Well, that's really what happened. I don't know what these guys are going to tell you. Miss Grant hasn't left Polk County yet. I'm not too sure if the warrant's still going to be valid later. How this is all going to pay out. But from the Polk County Sheriff's Office standpoint, this has been an overwhelming and exciting case for us to work. In my 27 years, this is the only case of this caliber I've worked. And again, if it wouldn't be for Miss Grant, we wouldn't be here today. So I thank her for her high integrity and for being the kind of person she is. Thank you.
Chuck, or you guys stay there. I'm going to try to walk over there. Okay. Bonnie, get over here.
Kind of stand
right between Chuck and I. Behind.
Here.
Come over here by Chuck. There we go.